Good evening and welcome back to 31 Horror Nights. It's October 29th and tonight's movie is Incantation. This is a 2022 found footage horror movie from Taiwan, and I think this is the first Taiwanese horror movie I've done for Horror Nights. Yeah, I looked it up. The Medium was a joint production with Thailand and South Korea. The trailer was really vague. I'm getting the impression that this is some sort of curse that is put upon a family, and it seems to be the mother's fault. From what I can tell, it has something to do with your mind creates the issues that you have to face, which is horrifying because they say that nothing is as scary as what you imagine it could be. You're literally facing what you could imagine. Okay, I just watched another trailer which was a little bit more clear. This mother violated some sort of religious taboo 6 years previously, and now the curse came home to roost. From what I can tell, this movie is not going to hold back with some of its horror. I saw what looked like a mouth with 100 teeth and like a person whose face is just a bloody mass of red meat. This movie is apparently inspired by a real event that happened. I'm not sure how far you can trust that, but that's something to mention. And even if they're not my favorite, these East Asian horror movies are always very interesting to watch. I'm gonna go check it out. This movie really surprised me in a good way. I would put it in the same category as like Talk to Me or Hereditary, in the fact that this is one of the most brutal horror movies I've ever watched. I mean this as a compliment when I say that some parts of this film actually made me feel sick to my stomach. Just like Hereditary and Talk to Me, I would sum up my review of Incantation as it is perfect in every single way except for the fact that it's not really enjoyable to watch. I'm going to give it the same score I gave those other two movies, 9 out of 10. If this movie, Gonjiam Haunted Asylum, and The Medium are any indication of it, when the East Asians make a found footage movie, they do not hold back. It did make me wonder, though, what makes me look at films like this or Hereditary with fondness when I consider movies like Martyrs or Real to just be gratuitous torture? I think it's because in the good examples, the disturbingness and the brutality also comes in the form of the drama. This movie is disturbing because of the drama and the situation, as well as some disturbing imagery, as opposed to just watching a woman get tortured for 40 minutes. The main character, Ronan, is played by Tsai Swan Yen, and I hope I'm saying that name right because she absolutely crushed it. She really brought something extra to the role that brought this character to life. In a lot of ways, this movie feels like Antrum in the fact that the movie itself actually kind of feels cursed. And that's something the movie like underlines and leans into whenever it can. The main plot of the movie is that Ronan used to be part of an online ghost hunters group. They called themselves Ghostbusters, or at least that's what the translation translated it to. The three visited a site that the family who owns the site says should not be messed with, should not be tampered with, and should be treated with respect. They don't really do that. They kind of desecrate it, and it leads to the two men in the group dying in spectacular fashion, and Ronan being cursed and her bloodline being cursed too. Ronan was pregnant at the time too, so it was already too late. 6 years after that incident, Ronan wants to try to get custody of her daughter again, and she thinks that she can handle whatever's going to happen, but as the movie keeps going, she's going to realize she is in way over her head. The incantation that the movie is named after is this 8 syllable chant that is played throughout the entire movie. It's meant to be something to ward off curses. And often you hear it in that sort of monk chanting, throat singing type of voice. Incantation features some of the most off the wall crazy horror I've seen in a movie. But almost just as brutal is this bleak, hopeless atmosphere. Incantation is not for the faint of heart, but if you can appreciate the movies that take the horror and crank it up to 11, like Hereditary or Talk to Me, I think you would like this movie. If you're interested, please check it out now because I'm about to go into spoilers. Incantation is kind of told out of order. For the first like 2/3 of the movie, it alternates between the events that happened 6 years prior and the current events, where Ronan is trying to take in her daughter, who they call Dodo. The effects of the curse seem to be general misfortune, being harassed by unseen spirits, and absolutely vile trypophobic sores appearing on the body. That SFX makeup is repulsive. It's amazing. Anyway, for a while, the past and current events sort of run parallel to each other, but there's a gap in the past events that were missing. The two men took a camcorder with them into the Forbidden Tunnel, and the camcorder was recovered, but the footage was not. Towards the end of the movie, one of Ronan's allies gets that footage restored, and we see it almost at the end of the film. And yeah, it's pretty intense. Those like spotted sores end up replacing one of their faces completely. It looked like Rorschach. And I think at this point, filmmakers have cracked the code. If you really want to make an impact with a character killing themselves, just have them bash their face into a table or a wall until they're dead. That happens at least 3 times in this movie, maybe more. The situation with Ronan and Dodo keeps getting worse, and it's really sad because they do establish that these two people do love each other, and Dodo is just this sweet little girl who doesn't deserve any of the things that are happening to her, and she is suffering. And things just keep getting worse until we get the final twist of the movie. One of the big questions with any found footage movie is why are the characters recording all this? And in this movie, there's a direct explanation for that. Ronan admits that this entire movie was a ruse. It was actually with the goal of spreading the curse to as many other people as possible. When it gets spread out, it gets diluted, and she's hoping that if the curse gets spread to as many people as she could, it will lighten the load on her daughter. That 8 syllable incantation that they keep repeating throughout the movie is not meant to ward off curses, but to spread them out. There's a part of the movie where it really kind of just turns into an acid trip, and it feels like the film was trying to hypnotize me. And there's also this heartbreaking scene of Ronan apologizing to her daughter, saying that she hasn't been a good mom, and that it would be for the best if she just forgot about her because she wants her to live a happy life. And the film reaches its absolute climax when she reveals the face of the Mother Buddha statue. According to the family that owns this forbidden tunnel, that is how the curse is spread, and the face is always veiled. Ronan blindfolds herself and removes the veil. And when she does, the face is revealed to be this like endless tunnel that is just coated on the insides with those awful sores. And even though she tried to protect herself with the blindfold, it doesn't work. She gets possessed and bashes her face in until she's dead. However, the last part of the movie is a scene of Dodo seeming to be doing well. So the implication is that her last ditch effort, her plan to spread the curse, actually worked, and the daughter is able to live a somewhat normal life. So I suppose one thing I can give this movie over Hereditary or Talk to Me is that it does, in a very narrow sense, have a happy ending. Incantation is one of the scariest and most depressing movies I've ever watched. You really feel like this movie knows what fear is and how to invoke it. If you like horror and don't mind a scary movie that isn't really that fun to watch, I would recommend it. I thought it was made expertly. Everybody involved did a great job. All right, thank you for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.